internationally known.
When I be on the mic, real ill.
I'm internationally known, yo.
Hard talk, real ill.
I'm internationally known.
When I be on the mic, real ill.
So all hail the honorable.
Hard talk, real ill.
I'm internationally known.
When I be on the mic, real ill.
I'm internationally known, yo.
Hard talk, real ill.
I'm internationally known.
When I be on the mic, real ill.
So all hail the honorable.
Hard talk, real ill.
I'm internationally known.
When I be on the mic, real ill.
I'm internationally known.
Welcome to the Being Neo podcast, episode 5.5, but really we're just going to call it 6. Sex, tourism, hookups, and Colombia, part 2. But if I throw up 2 peace signs, technically that's 4, right? But we're just going 2, so part 2. Episode 6. Welcome. Guys, it is a late night episode. It's a different type of vibe. It has been a very, very long day. I'm not even joking. It has been a very long day. So we are going to vibe out on part 2, okay? I was supposed to do this at like 1 o'clock this afternoon. It's now officially 1 o'clock in the morning. It is 1:10. All right, before we get too far into the nonsense of me rambling, let's get the fact. Let's get the facts, ma'am. Just the facts. Remember, we are going to be doing the Bio Neo podcast trivia, so you guys have to keep track of the crazy things I say like that. I asked that in a different episode, so we're not going to talk about that one now. But stay tuned when I drop it in and say, hey, this could be a trivia question. You never know what you will win when we start playing the game. So track these things, people. All right, we're going to do facts, and we're going to continue with human trafficking because we need to fight human trafficking. It is a real thing. And for those of you that don't know the definition of human trafficking, it involves exploiting people through force, fraud, or coercion. That's it. Let's not make it complicated, okay? It is a global issue. It affects every country as a source, transit, or destination. So when people are like, no, there's none of that here. Yeah, actually the magnitude is over 40 million people trapped in human trafficking, which is modern day slavery right now. I'm going through a whole list because, as macchiatos, we have a ton of the facts, and the reality is I don't think enough people understand it. That's why we have these facts. We use our top 12, but, our fact 12, if you see our mugs, it says prevention, raise awareness, support survivors, address root causes, and advocate for change. We can go on and on and on, but human trafficking is a thing. It is not just sex related. As I've read, forced labor and other things as well. So please, Sounds of Freedom is great and all. I actually haven't seen the movie, but anything that's bringing awareness to it is great. But take action, learn some more, become an advocate, fight to help the change. And thanks. All right, moving right along. So I listened right before hitting record how the last episode ended. And I was talking about how this particular woman told me that if I was going to take her out, she wanted me to cook for her because she had been looking at my food and she wanted to eat that. So, man, all I can say is I was like, okay, let's do it. If you want me to cook for you, I'm game. But I expressed to her, I was like, listen, it's very important. I said, you have to figure out how you're going to get here and you have to figure out how you're going to get home. I'll take care of everything else. Because as I have mentioned, man, these women, seriously, like, you want to hang out with them. And it differs. It does change. Like, it's not all of them, but a lot of them. I mean, the reality is that depending on what part of, let's do some math. So I'm gonna bring you guys up for Medellin. If you're in Medellin and you need to take a car, let's say you want to take a car from where you are to where I am. Obviously, right? It's not rocket science here. And where you are, the woman that I'd like to date is in Bejo. Bejo is a northern barrio outside of Medellin. It's like one of the Medellin suburbs. And so, but it's north. And then you have all the other barrios that come basically south of that you would hang out in or go to. And so as you work your way south and you get to Poblado, then you get to like Envigado, Sabaneta, and those areas. But let's focus in on Laurales. Laurales is just south of Poblado. So when you're coming in from Bejo, the cost for a typical Uber ride for us as Americans, it's not much. $3, $2, $3. But $3, let's just say it's $3. $3 right now is 20,000 pesos, 18,000 pesos. And 18,000 pesos in retrospect to food is, man, 2 pounds of ground beef. So think about that. Like, that's first off, ground beef is cheap. But, and seriously, think about that. That's a lot, right? In retrospect for what you can do with that to come meet somebody that you don't know and haven't talked to. So it's a risk, and I get that. But I mean, trust me when I say I'm obviously paying way more than that on what I'm going to cook when someone's coming to my place to cook. So whatever. She gets there. She gets there after. Oh, no, 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 no. Hold on. These are the details. The details. The devil is in the details. So hold on. Let me not skip over anything. She actually day of said date wants to cancel. And I'm like, huh? What's going on? And she's like, oh, sorry, I can't find someone to fix my scooter, and the scooter's not working properly, and I don't know why, and I don't have any money to find someone to fix the scooter. And I'm like, hey, no worries. Listen, I get it, no problem. We could do it another day. Just let me know when. And she's like, no, 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 no. I want to see you. I want to meet you. I want to meet you. I want to finally meet you, and I want to meet you tonight. I'm really excited about. I'm like, cool, tranquilo, yeah. Entonces, so she so she finds a way, literally last minute. Someone owed her money, and she was like, look, you need to pay me back right now. And they paid her the money that she needed so she could take the Uber to come have dinner with me. So I'm impressed. I'm like, that's effort. That's a lot of effort, actually. And so I'm like, cool. So far, so good. She gets to the house. She gets to the apartment. She comes in. She looks better in person than she does on Instagram. And I'm feeling the vibe. She looks well put together. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't know too much about her. Okay, like we've exchanged normal messages, but I have not. I don't know. I haven't really taken a deep dive. I know she's got an OnlyFans. That's the only thing I know, and I know that she's promoting her OnlyFans through her Instagram. This is what I know. So at this point in the time, I'm like, okay. I'm looking at her. I'm like, she looks good, and I'm still cooking. She comes into the apartment. I give her a beer. I'm cooking. And as I'm cooking, I can't even remember what I made her the first night. Salmon, probably. Probably salmon. But in either case, we get into like the normal conversations on your first dates. What's this? What's that? Siblings, ages. And we get to ages. And she's like, how old do you think I am? I'm like, I don't know. And women, whenever you ask a man, how old do they think you are? Just be ready that no matter what they respond, you're not going to be happy with the answer. So, my question, again, curiosity killed the cat. Why would you ask? Okay, now that we got that out of the way, it always boggles my mind. Like, why are you asking? So I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe 32 ish. You know. Um, Long story short, guys, she's 42. She is 42 years old. I am, at the date of this recording, 41 years old. So she's older than me. And I'm like, whoa, I've never dated anyone in a serious relationship, or even, I've never had, yeah, no. I mean, like, I just haven't. I've dated one person. I think that was, nope, that's not true. I'm lying to you guys. There's been two. Two. So I've been in two serious relationships where the women were older than me. Fantastic. So whatever. I'm like, now I'm impressed because now I'm looking at her like, okay, that's like great body, etc. So I want to say dinner started at like 8:30. We have now had dinner, we had dessert, we had more beer, and she doesn't smoke, but I'm smoking. So it's a good vibe. And the next thing I know, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. She came over at 8ish. It's now 3:15 in the morning, and time has just flown by. So I'm feeling it. I'm digging it. I'm like, this was good. This was really laid back. I like it. Now, all of that said, it goes like that for the next few weeks. Super smooth. There's one hiccup in the middle of the next few weeks where she's got no food in the house, and I'm like, yo, you got kids, you gotta have food. You have to be able to eat. No worries. I got you. As long as you can get to me, I'm gonna cook food and you can take it back so that, like there's food in the house. That's just who I am. Like everybody deserves to eat. So the next few weeks go pretty well. And I decide I want to be able to spend more time with this girl. So where she's at and where I am is kind of far away. And so I'm like, and then, she's got kids. So it's not just that she's older, but she has kids, 3 kids. And I'm like, okay, ages, please. Ages were 19, 15, and 12. They've changed since then. But in either case, this is what I'm like, okay, cool. So the food gets cooked. She brings the food. She's super happy. She says some, and I'm going to say this because I want you to remember this moment. It's going to come up later in this as I talk about what happens next. But she is so grateful. Like she's damn near in tears, thanking me that I made this food for her kids to eat. Now, first off, it's because the food is delicious because I made it and your boy's a chef. So, hey, the food was good. But secondly, it's just a gesture of her telling me, she's been a single mom for so long. And it was really nice to be able to have someone to help her, like give her some actual real support. And I'm like, that's just human. Like people need to eat. So cool. So things are going really well. So I want to be able to spend more time with her, but it's hard to spend more time with the distance and then her taking care of the kids and her grandchild. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to have to make a move, live in the Airbnb lifestyle anyway. So I'm just going to find an Airbnb around where she lives so we can spend more time and I can kind of accelerate this process of learning. Okay, so now these details matter, people. So I move up to Bejo. Now, the very first day I move, it's a process, man. The lights and stuff to do these things, the production, the cameras I have, like all of the things that I travel with, it's a lot. You don't see, obviously you guys don't see this. I should record this maybe on a live. I'll flip the camera on one of my phones, but my camera's on a tripod. Like there's a lot to make this. So in saying all of that, I'm you know intrigued. How in the world am I going to move all this stuff to this place and have her tell me the same day? Because also the other thing, when I change Airbnbs, I'm moving a lot of stuff. It's a lot of stuff. It's Logan, his crate. The cars in Colombia are really all small. So to have 3 suitcases, your dog, and his big ass crate, it's tough. So no worries. I am. I'm like, okay, cool, we got this. As I'm moving all these things, I communicate with her and I say, hey, I just want to let you know that the last time I moved locations where I was and where I was happy being, it was with the last webcam model I dated, and that did not end well. So I'm hoping that this is different, but I've got to let you know I've got a little bit of fear that this is going to end the same. So she knows I've dated a webcam model before. She knows she's got this webcam model past. She's told me she has this webcam model past. We've talked about it, and it was in the way in which it was shared with me, something super simple, nothing crazy, and for a short period of time. So I was like, okay, cool, no problem. And it's mostly foot fetishes. I feel like I have to just be myself on here and just keep it real. There's so many times that I want to pause and like, oh, can I say that? I'm saying it. So yeah, so she's like, oh, it's mostly just foot fetish guys. I'm like, okay, no problem. This is how it has been the entire time at this point in our relationship, is that she really didn't do anything too crazy. It was just foot fetishes. Okay. I I forgot to bring in and loop in how she knew my ex. And that's also important in this story. So sorry guys, I don't mean to have this jump around. It's just that there's little details about this story that when I swear to you, when I get to this punchline, you guys are gonna be like, what? Okay, so one day, remember Instagram, right? Algorithm, Instagram. She shares something, and when she shares it on her story, and it's in my ex. My ex is in it. I'm like, why are you tagging my ex in this thing that you're sharing? And so I sent her a text, right? Because the first thing I'm asking myself is, what do I do, right? Like, I like my time with her, but do I? Do I not tell her that this person's thing that she just shared is my ex? Because that's the other thing, is like, I don't know what the capacity is yet that she's sharing it. The thing that she shared was just, it could, she's got a OnlyFans. She could just be trying to share things to connect with other adult models. So I'm like, do I say something? Do I not say something? Do I just kind of let it go? Do I just change the equipment and then make that I don't know. I decide at this point in time, I'm not going to say anything. Like, cool. Okay, so now we fast forward. We fast forward to this day that I move. I'm in Bejo. I've moved all this stuff at this new apartment, and I'm cleaning the apartment, trying to get it ready. And during this time of me talking and just letting her know about, my concerns about the last time I moved and all of these things. And, you've only told me it was this. Are we sure? All of this stuff. Don't push the issue. And she says, hey, I have friends. They're really close friends of mine. I want you to meet them. I used to work with them. And too, I used to work with them too. Which is the exact same way that she presented to me how she worked with my ex. She said, because like I wasn't gonna push for information. And so when I didn't push for information, she was just like, oh, I worked with her. Like, we're not really good friends. I just work with her. And I'm like, you just work with her. Okay. So when you work with her, what do you mean? Like, tell me, what do you mean you worked with her? Like, I thought you just did foot fetish stuff. And she's like, well, I did. I worked with her. But like in the same studio. Like, we shared rooms. I worked this shift, she worked that shift. I was like, okay. Okay. So we cleared all up. That was all good. So when I'm meeting her friends now and she's telling me, hey, I work with them, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. She's like, I work with them webcamming. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, okay, cool. Same form, right? Like, maybe they shared rooms. In my mind, I'm like, okay, they worked at the same studio. And the studio is here for webcamming. I need you guys to understand that there's various studios. Obviously, you have some better than the others. Both of my exes worked for a bigger studio here. It's a prominent studio here in Medellin and in Colombia, and so they had like hundreds of girls and like hundreds of rooms. So it's not like it's abnormal. She's telling me that she worked with them, and me to assume that they're working in the same studio. So cool. Have a couple beers, crack a beer, christen a new place, smoke a little, head out for dinner. I have dinner with them. We have dinner. She's sharing it on her socials. I I don't think I shared it on my socials. But in either case, she shares it. And I get a message the next day. And I get a message the next day from this guy. And he's a client. I know he's a client of hers. He's a client from when she used to webcam. He's a client on her OnlyFans. Like, she's told me about this guy, and I'm well aware of who he is. I'm like, okay, cool. I ignore his message because it's not important. Now, throughout this period in time, I am I'm being everything, right? Like, dad. Oh man. And dad is a stretch because like it's 15, 12, 2. And the 2 obviously is not hers, but oh my goodness, it was a heck of a dichotomy. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'm trying to get comfortable in it. I spend a month now there. She gets stressed about some things and she's like, I need a break. I need to take a step back. And I'm thinking to myself, break, step back. You're stressed. I'm over here helping with everything as I can. So Why would take a step back? It doesn't make any sense to me. I think there's something else going on. And this for me, again, in webcam, and I'm just like, spidey senses are tingling. But okay. Now, during this period of time, there's so many things I share with some people, some stuff, and then even as I tell those stories, I'm like, oh, I didn't remember this or that part. So she is, um, we go to dinner, we have all that stuff comes out, that's done, dinner's good. She shares this up on socials. Guy sends me the message. I ignore the message because I'm like, yeah, I don't need to talk to this dude. Doesn't really matter. And we spend a month there. I'm learning, going through all these things with her, which is all cool. She has a period of time where the services get cut off in her apartment and she needs a place to stay with the kids because there's like no electricity, no none of this stuff. So I'm like, yeah, this apartment's big enough for everybody. Come stay here. So this goes on for literally 6 days. 6 days, they are staying the entire, all like the kids, everybody is in my apartment for 6 days. And the break is the thing that after the services get turned back on and she goes back to her apartment, that comes up after. And so I'm like, for me, I'm like, you just spent the last 6 days. Like, I just moved heaven and earth to help you for the last 6 days because your services were off. And now you're telling me that you need a break. So for me, this is why I'm kind of questioning everything. And I'm just like, this is kind of weird. Full circle. I always loop it back. Remember, I loop it back. And I'm trying to like remember the other details that I don't miss out on, while also making sure that I do not um share any kind of names. It's it's one thing to sit down here with you guys and talk and share these stories, and I mean I'm candidly sharing, but in the candid sharing, to try to remember that I don't want to get too comfortable with you guys and say things that can never go back because listen, this stuff is on the internet forever. Okay, so all of this said, this is just weird. So for me, I'm like, I don't trust in anything that's going on right now. So I'm gonna take my happy self back to where I like to live, where I'm more comfortable. And yeah, que sera, sera. Hit me up when you hit me up. So like 2 weeks goes by, and we're kind of going back and forth on all these things, and I'm just like, I don't know. And I'm asking her to make time for us to talk and make time for us to talk, make time for us to talk. Now listen, people, I have a full service marketing agency, like full service marketing agency with, I can't even tell you right now, it's over 1,000 clients. My marketing agency takes care of. So with that said, there are a lot of things that I do with social media very easily because I have a ton of social media accounts. I don't know how many times I have to say this to people, but people still don't seem to get it. So no big deal. I don't understand why people always take I don't know, what's the approach I should say. It's not, in this day and age, I can't even say it's, um, I mean, it's obviously it's lies and it's false and all of these other things, but it's definitely one of these like moments in time where there's such a thin line between what's real, what's fake, and how you can trust the thin line between the two. So for me, seriously, in almost every relationship right now, modern day times, your boy's got another account that's going to follow the account that you have, maybe more than one, because I want to see how you're moving when I'm not paying attention or when you think I'm not paying attention. And so, and this is like inception. If we start talking, you have one or two of my accounts following you, right? Straight away. Because if for some reason something goes wrong, I could always test things. Pause for the evil laugh. So I test things. So, one of the reasons I accepted her past as a webcam model, her having an OnlyFans page, is because we had an agreement and a conversation regarding what was on limits, off limits, what she did, what she didn't do, and all these things. One of the things she said she would never do is meet somebody in person. Now, look, you guys heard on part one, and if you didn't, listen to part one. But I mentioned and I discussed and I talked about the fact that I literally have dated a prostitute. And I can talk that story in another episode. I didn't know she was a prostitute when I met her. That's not how things popped off. And she was a good girl. She I said that and I mean that. So understand that I'm not these are not like judgments for regulations. It's just me making sure that the things we agreed upon are still in fact in play. So I say all that to say, I sent homegirl a message on Instagram from the fake account. I mean, it's not a fake account, it's a real account, but it's really fake because it's not me, but it is me. Oh man. So I send a message posing as a guy that is from her past, from when she used to webcam model. And I love this because she to this day does not know this. And if she listens to this episode, she won't know what I'm saying because she doesn't speak English. So as I'm saying this and sharing this with you guys right now, I feel like I'm about to let a big secret out of the bag. And I love it. It feels great. You guys really don't understand. I appreciate each of you as listeners, but I'm making my life more difficult by sharing the way I do with you, more transparently, openly, really including you in my life. Because the reality is, if I find my next wife or even my next serious relationship or girlfriend, they're gonna have to be okay with how openly I share and how openly I have shared all of these type of stories with you. So thank you for listening. Please share. I really do want Alicia Keys on the podcast, and I can't do it without you. So please, please, please share. Always provide feedback and let me know. Shoot me messages. I connect with you guys. I connect with my followers. So Instagram is usually best because I'm on it the most. But if you send me a message on any of my social medias, I respond back. It's me. So all of that said, this is tough sometimes, and it's crazy when I say some of the things I say or share. I send her a message. I'm this guy. I want to have a magical night with her. I'll take her out shopping. We'll go to dinner. I send her the places. I'm like, let's tell me what time to make the reservations. I'm laying it on, okay? And at first she's like playing a little hesitant, like, oh, I don't know, maybe, maybe no. And I'm like, listen, just do it. And she's like, okay, tomorrow. And we set a time and the date set. I then call her from my phone. And I'm like, how do you have a date set to go out tomorrow if I'm supposed to see you tomorrow and we're supposed to talk? And she's like, what are you talking about? I was like, what am I talking about? And so I tell her the name. I was like, aren't you going out with this person tomorrow? And she's like, oh, you're checking up on me? I said, no, I'm not checking up on you. I was like, that was a friend. I was like, that was a friend of mine who, realized we were connected and wanted to know how I knew you. And then I told him you were my girl. And so, like, what's going on? And so she starts backpedaling. I love when they backpedal. No, it wasn't like that. It was this. And I'm like, people, I posted something about this in my story today. I do not ask questions because I need the answers. I ask questions to test to see and give you the opportunity to choose to lie or tell the truth. Seriously. So I'm just like, oh my goodness, here's the backpedal. And I'm crushed right now. Crushed. So I'm like, well, what do I do now? Like, seriously. And I'm asking her, I'm like, what, like, where's this at? She's like, listen, let me come to you. I'm going to explain absolutely everything. I'm going to explain everything. It's not this, it's whatever. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. So she comes the next day. She gives me this long drawn out story about whatever. And we spend like 2 hours talking. We talk. I think we wound up having dinner. Did we have dinner? I don't think we had dinner this particular night. I think we just talked. Yeah, we just talked. I think this was a Wednesday where we just talked, and then I was like, okay, I am understanding what you're saying. So basically the excuse is this. You don't understand. I was really scared. I didn't want to do this, but I need the money. And I kept going back and forth with my sister about how scared I was to even do this. I've never done this before. And so I'm like, she's showing me these messages. So I'm like, I guess they're real. So I guess I should believe them. Like, okay, this is basically entrapment. So it's on me. This is my fault. And you weren't going to go through with it. So, okay, I'll give you a pass. So stupid. You guys remember what happened the last time I gave a webcam model a pass? If you don't watch the episode, links in the description. So I'm like, okay, I give her the pass, and that's it. We like start making plans for how things are gonna go, what we're gonna do over the next few days. There's some birthdays coming up, different things. I'm like, okay, cool. When can I see you again? We make a sushi date for a few days later, and we're like working things out. Okay, so cool. And in this process of working things out, we're talking about what we're going to do next because I spent a ton on Airbnbs. And basically, for those of you that don't know, your Airbnb is about 200% the cost. So, or half the cost, depending on how you want to look at it, or your perspective, a half full, half empty. If you are renting an Airbnb, you're basically paying double what you could rent an apartment for locally. So, and then there's obviously certain requirements to do those things or whatever. But my point is, I'm like, okay, we're organizing things for life. We're talking about this. We're talking about that. I'm spending a mountain of money on these Airbnbs. I could spend half of that. You need help with money and finances. So, yeah, even if it's just a temporary thing, I'll move in with you. No biggie. Let's do it. Am I crazy, people? I'm absolutely insane. I just had this conversation with a friend the other day. I was talking about how many people I've lived with in my entire life, and I want to say it was 7. Yeah, I want to say it's 7. I'll have to fact check that for you at another time when I can think about that. But in either case, I'm like, okay, let's do this. So I leave. I move to her actual apartment, right? Because we're gonna do this whole life thing. So me, Logan, luggage, move into the apartment. We're looking for an apartment for us to get together. Uh, when I say together, I mean her, the kids, everything. And as we're looking, we find one that's beautiful, beautiful. We book a tour, we go see it. I'm like, tell me everything that we need to get it. We'll get it done. And like the following Monday after that, and this long story short, we are, oh gosh, this is great. We are going through the paperwork and looking at the things we need. I'm like, okay, cool. As we leave, I start talking to her about the things that we need to come up. And she's like, oh, hey, I don't know. I don't know that I'm gonna be able to have my name on the lease. And I'm like, why not? Hold a feather there. Pause. Bookmark that. I'm going to shift for a second. So while all of this is going on, apartment hunting, looking at everything, cool. This guy from Instagram that has messaged me before is now messaging me more and more and more because I guess he can, like, she's sharing things and he could just see that I'm with her more. So he keeps messaging me and I'm just like, bro, stop messaging me. And I'm just like, leave it alone. When we get back and she's telling me about all this stuff I don't know if I can do this and that. I'm like, what else is it that I do not know? Which is why when this guy messaged me the following morning, I respond. The plot clots. And so when I respond, I'm like, yo, how do you keep messaging me, bro? Like, you have no respect. What is your deal? Why are you messaging me? Blah, 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 blah. And he's like, I just need to know who you are. And I'm like, I'm Neo. It says it on my shirt. I mean, I am Neo. So I am. Now, why the fuck do you keep sending me messages? And he's like, well, I'm this person's boyfriend. And I'm like, you're who? And literally, like, I'm this person's boyfriend. And I was like, well, where are you? And they're like, in the States. And I'm like, well, man, I don't know how to tell you this, but you're in the States and I've been over here fucking your girlfriend. So, like, I don't know who's right. Am I right and she's my girlfriend, or are you right and she's your girlfriend? But in either case, I'm just like, dude, it is what it is. I don't know what to tell you. No harm, no foul. Cool. That's the conversation. I know it seems a little crazy still, right? So now I have this conversation. And he then chimes back in and he's like, hey, just an FYI, I just want to tell you, be careful with, and then he says a person's name. And I'm like, I'm not worried about anybody. I'm not scared of anybody. Like, I don't need to be careful with this person. And he's like, no, 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 you do. He's like, trust me, be careful. I saw you in the photo, and he's referencing the photo that I took while I was at dinner with this other couple, the four of us. And he's referencing this guy. And so I'm like, okay. And he's like, well, no, be careful because you know she used to work with them. And now I'm like, yeah, I know she used to work with them, but who cares? Like, what do I need to be careful about? He goes, no, 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 no. She used to work with them. He sends me a picture. He sends me a picture. She's got cum on her face. His cum on her face with the girl on the other side. And I'm like, wait, what? So you mean this entire time that she's been sitting here like, oh yeah, we work together. They're just really good friends. You had me sit down at dinner and break bread with these fools. This dude's fucked you more times than I have for years. And now you want me to sit here and accept this friendship like it's this beautiful, non-threatening thing? And guys, look, I'm comfortable in my sexuality. I'm comfortable in all of it. But at the end of the day, where is the respect in that? For me, that's where I'm at. Is where was the respect? So I'm like, wow. Internally, I'm losing my absolute shit. But externally, your boy is just lighting the blunt and relaxing. Like, we're gonna talk about this. So we talk about it. Or at least I try. She's gone at this moment when I have this conversation. Excuse me, when I have this conversation. So with her being gone, I'm anxiously waiting for her to come back. And I'm not the type to like blow up your phone to have a conversation that I can't have through text anyway. And so when she gets back, I bring it up to her. Now here's the kicker, people. This right here is the kicker. I am very calm and I'm like, listen, I need to talk to you about this. I need to understand really what's the deal. And like, no harm, no foul. I need to process it right now. I'm still very much processing the information that I just learned. And so I need a minute. I'm not really sure what I'm going to want to make myself feel more comfortable in this whole thing. But I don't know. I mean, you may not be able to, you may need to stop your friendship with them because I don't know that I could deal with that. But again, I don't want to jump to any conclusions or make decisions or tell you how I'm feeling based on me being angry and hurt. So we'll chill. Take a minute to relax. I'm telling you and expressing what has to happen and what I want to. Before this chill moment even happens, she starts backpedaling, telling me about why she has to continue to be friends with them, why they've been there for her. Why I'm like, wait, what? You're not even willing to entertain the idea. And so for me, I was like, all right, good to know. And I just, it's still in that moment. I can remember standing there and arguing with her. And I was just like, I just told, like, it's a lot to process everything that I had just processed. And I'm learning different things from, not only things from my past that, have become more clear in time, things in general in life, but I'm sitting here learning about these things with you that aren't as they appear and they continue to progress. What do I mean by that? Well, the paperwork of the apartment, remember I talked about that and she couldn't put her name on it. So that was the first thing. But the curious question I had is, well, how do you have this apartment that you have right now? Oh, well, that apartment's not actually her apartment. That apartment is in the name of her daughter. Her oldest daughter has that apartment. Oh my goodness, right? This is what I'm thinking to myself. I'm like, are you kidding me right now? No problem. Another thing I've learned. Can you please tell me what other secrets are you holding from me that I'm unaware of? Nothing in that apartment. Nothing that was in the apartment. None of the beds, mattresses, cooking, none sofa, none of the things that were in the apartment were hers. So you're trying to get an apartment with me where we live together and you haven't even told me any of these things. Why? I digress. So at this point in time, I'm just like thoroughly beside myself. And I'm now sitting here questioning everything. Like, what in the world? And what are you actually doing? Because at this point in time, the daughter is really sending cash on a pretty regular basis to take care of the family. And I just, I'm baffled by the fact that, no matter what, and I said this, I said this to a friend earlier, in one of my polyamorous relationships, this girl never looked at a price on anything. She would use my money, but she would never look at the price. And for me, I was like, it's just disrespectful. Like, if I feel like I need to look at the price for something that I'm buying with my money, and you're trying to buy something with my money, you should want to at least look at the price too, right? Like, that for me is just like respecting. And so, all of this said, and all of this happening, and all of the things I'm learning, I am literally like, you got to be kidding me. So now this guy that has reached out that I talked to, I reach back out to. Because if you haven't, again, watch the video. This is not the webcam model video, but my traveling 2022 year review video. I talk about how, one of the ways I caught my ex in the moment cheating was through her ex and a photo she had in the phone that was synced to her photo library on her MacBook. So I hacked the MacBook and got the information. In either case, for me, it was horrible. The daughter, like, just the whole dynamics of absolutely all of it, culturally speaking, breaks my heart. Um, and it's just so incredibly normal. And I can't understand why. Guys, do not let normal be anything other than the best that it can be. That's when I feel like something should be accepted. But before then, man, wage war to change anything and everything. As you learn, as you continue to learn, as you grow through and deal with these things, because like the reality is, you deserve to have what's best for you if you're putting that out there. And this was not best for me, obviously, in this moment. So I'm trying to remember the moment where, oh my goodness, here we go. This was the moment. So we're going through all of these things. I'm like, I need to process. We're trying to like have a normal-ish relationship and kind of recover from all these things. Here's the deal breaker. Are we ready? This is when I absolutely lost my shit. Oh my goodness, guys. How could part two be this long? We're at 41 minutes in. I'm going to leave it with this. I'm trying to be nice. Sushi is one of those things she loves. I love sushi too. So I'm like, listen, this one particular day, the kids come home and they're like, hey, can we go get a piercing? They both want to go get something pierced. It's a distance away for like taking the car there, coming or taking the metro there and coming back. We had some time. I was hungry and I wanted to be able to sit down, talk. So I invite her for sushi. And it's me, her, and the granddaughter. And when we get to the mall, we don't just go straight to sushi because we have the granddaughter. So I spend money for the granddaughter to play in like the little play area that they have with the sand and everything. Wait for that. Eventually we go eat. We're eating sushi. We're there. The sushi comes. The kids call and the kids are like, hey, this changed. We're coming back now. Where are you guys at? Well, eating sushi, of course. Sushi here is an expensive food. It's an expensive food in comparison to like the rest of the stuff that's in your typical mall and the rest of the stuff that you have options to eat that's not sushi. I feel like sushi is pretty expensive anywhere around the world. So it's normal, no biggie. So for me, as I'm kind of just going through looking at and adjusting or trying to do my best at, adjusting my perspective, spending time, recouping, recovering, blah, blah, blah. The kids are coming back early and she suggests that they come to eat sushi. And I'm like, remember the ages, right? So it's the 12 and the 15-year-old. And I'm like, they just got piercings. Like everything has a cost. I don't think that this is the time for them to have sushi. I think if they want to eat something because they're hungry, we should get them something from the food court because, remember, I still have this entire apartment to furnish. I've got the apartment. There's all these other things. Like, and value is important, understanding value is important, all of these things. So I suggest, hey, this is what should be done. This is what we should do. They should go eat this or that or whatever. Kids get there. She looks at me and she's like, I want them to eat sushi. And I was like, do you have money for sushi? No, I don't have money for sushi. Okay, well, I guess they're not eating sushi then, because I'm not buying them sushi. They can eat a hamburger, they can eat this, they can eat KFC, but we'll go to the food court, they can pick out what they want to eat there. At this point in time, when I say that, she's like, if I'm eating sushi, my kids are gonna eat sushi. I was like, if you could pay for sushi, your kids can eat sushi. Obviously, that didn't happen. So now I'm like, okay, we're cool, we're good. This woman, when the bill comes, stands up loud. She stood up so fiercely strong that she knocks the chair over. The people in the restaurant are looking at her and she storms out. And now I'm pissed that she caused the scene over me not. I didn't say I wasn't going to feed the kids. I just said they don't need to eat this expensive meal. So I say this to her. I express all these things to her in the same kind of angry tone that I have right now, which is like, are you crazy right now? I remember when you were in my apartment, so grateful that I was cooking food for you to give your kids so that they weren't hungry. And now you're sitting here telling me this? Are you kidding me? Listen, people, I lost it. I'm getting better at understanding my value, retaining my value, and not allowing anyone to jeopardize it. So in this moment, for me, with her, I was done. And I said that. I was like, hey, I'm done. I'm going to get my stuff. I'm going to orchestrate a plan. I'm getting the heck out of here. And I did. But my point in saying all those things is the dynamics of the extent to which and the challenges of dating in any kind of serious capacity as a foreigner here in Colombia, especially in Medellin or any of the high tourist spots like Medellin, Cartagena, you have to keep your head on a swivel in every aspect, way, shape, or form, because people will take your value in a minute, which leads me to my last point, and I'm going to end this. Peace over everything. The situations that I find myself in sometimes are difficult, but the reality is the solutions are always easy because I guide them by peace. If I can do something or not do something and I actually feel happy about it, then I will do or not do that thing and maintain my peace. School, life, sports, kids, everything, all of it. Open your mind, be in a position where now is the thing that matters, and be new with your peace. Guard it, hold it. Don't just give it away. That's it. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to listen. Please check the links in the description. That helps us a lot. If you'd like to support myself in the podcast, again, please check the links in the description, and we will look forward to the next episode. But for now, love, peace, and hair grease. I've always wanted to say that. I feel like that's like the best way to end the podcast. Love, peace, and hair grease. But we're going to go with my slogan. Be new, be you, be Neo. Until the next time, guys, thank you so much. Have a good day, night, or whatever time it is when you are listening to or watching this. Oh, wait, I lied. Bloopers. Rewind. I need to tell you this, and it's so late. I should have told you this earlier in the recording, but the podcast thing. So podcast is out on all platforms now, but what is not out on all platforms now is video. When I upload these episodes, I am uploading video with the audio file. And when the video and the audio file upload, the video is available on YouTube and the video is available on Spotify for sure. But in the other areas, it's just music. Why am I telling you this? Because if you're just listening to the podcast, say on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or any of these platforms, and you just hear music, that music cuts out at 48 seconds. Okay, and it's because during the video, it's playing an intro with an intro video that plays with that. So if you want to jump ahead to 48 seconds, feel free. That will be where the podcast starts, and or just know that it will cut off and adjust automatically at that point in time. Okay, guys, thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch, to listen, to subscribe, to share it with someone else. I could not do this without you. I do truly mean that. Thank you so much. Peace.